Hey everyone, welcome to the Nameless Podcast. And I say that loosely, as I've said before, because we really haven't come up with a name that is really kind of stuck with me. So you have to bear with this a little bit here. I didn't want the name. Actually, I should, in full transparency, we've come up with a bunch of names. None of those names have stuck. So it remains nameless, TBD. But I will tell you a couple of key points for us as we go through in trying to figure out what the name for the podcast is going to be. We will do what we've always done for our other companies, Smanatech, Smanalabs, and UC Forages. We will come up with a clear and defined vision, a mission statement, and then we have our pillars. Now, I think our pillars are set. So this podcast is going to be talking a lot about the business environment, personal development, a lot of leadership, because my belief is you are the leader of one, and you got to get that right. You can't be leading other people if you're not leading yourself, and there's going to be a lot of conversations about that. So clarity, understanding what that looks like, what your purpose is, not only in business but in life, and those need to be in alignment. We're definitely talk about culture, right? The environment of which you live in is who you really are, and for me, the culture that we've continued to build here at Adams Technology Group with our Smanatech team, with our Smanalabs team, with our UC Forge teams is really, really intentional. And then the third pillar for us is commitment, what it takes to commit to creating that culture so that therefore is clarity. It's kind of like the I, the we, and the all, right? Starts with me, and then it kind of ripples effect, and then those ripples, have ripples too. So that's kind of where the podcast is going. I'm super excited about it. This is really our first episode. I guess we call that EP1. And I'm super excited to have Jesse Barker, who is the co-founder and director of IT at Zenify. Zenify is a SaaS company. They are... Let me get it here. Salesforce's fastest growing financial services partner. They are a summit partner with Salesforce. That's our highest level partner program. So basically what that means is the fact that if you're partnering with Salesforce and you're one of their fastest growing partners, you got a lot of stuff going on. And the cool thing with Jesse is we get to sit down, we get to talk about that. Zenify, we basically go through how they started as a company, and it was I kid you not, a dark, rainy night in Palo Alto with Jesse and Nathan, one of the other co-founders, came up with the idea to start creating and integrating Salesforce for other companies. And that's how Zenify launched. I think the biggest kind of point for me in this podcast with Jesse is Jesse and I have been talking about, or I've been talking to Jesse about this. I bounce a lot of ideas off of Jesse. I have a lot of respect for him. And I told him when I was going to launch the podcast, and he's like, you got to do it. You got to do it. He would be my first guest. So Jesse is our first guest, and I'm super grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for him for taking a big leap of faith with what I was doing with our managed IT and professional services. I think in the podcast we get to talk about that a little bit, but everything that I wanted to build Smanatech to be is what we've executed against, and Zenify has been a part of that. And I also think that if it wasn't for Zenify, we wouldn't be here where Smanatech is, taking care of all of our great customers. So with that said, Jesse, thank you for coming onto the show. We appreciate Zenify as a customer. We've been through some crazy growth, both of us, and we talk about that growth and what that looks like for both Zenify and for what we've helped Zenify complete in their growth. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and look forward to the next ones to roll out. Thank you. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and how you do it?
I think why don't you introduce me?
What? This is Jesse Barker.
Thank you.
I don't even know what your title is. Do you have a title? You're
I do.
Like the podcast,
I
right? We
do.
don't have a name for the podcast. This is the Nameless Podcast.
First guest? Well,
You
not
are the first guest.
I'm the first external guest.
You're the first external guest. Yeah. Well, we had to do a couple of beta, right? We're in the world of technology, so we'll call them beta tests. Justin had his 5 years, so we just did his interview. It was about an hour. It was fantastic. And then we had Shez. We did his 5 years coming up. And so we kind of worked out the kinks. You can see up there, I got a couple some feedback already from watching the videos. Don't slouch, because I'm terrible about like the way we're supposed to eat, right?
Yeah.
No elbows on the table, stuff like that. So we got my mic raised up a little bit more, and then I got a reminder there to kind of slow down, because sometimes I get wrapped up in some of this stuff.
That's not natural, though. That's not Chris.
It's not. I just keep firing that stuff up.
So back to my title. Yeah, I do have a title.
What is it?
Things have kind of evolved. So I'm our IT director
IT director.
at Zenify.
Yep,
Yeah.
perfect.
But it's been ambiguous for so long, just because you probably know this too. When you start out, you're doing everything. So, I've done almost every single job there, right?
Well,
And-
when you start up, because
Yeah.
you're a founder.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes,
you
yes.
are quote unquote co-founder.
Yeah. Yes.
And okay, so take us, real quick. I know Zenify is a boring company, and we don't need to get into that stuff. Just kidding. So how did you get started? Like, just a little context about this.
So the story's actually good, and it's pretty interesting. But I'll make it kind of quick. I moved into the Boise area. When was it? 2005. And I got a job.
But you are an Idaho native.
Yes. Yeah. Idaho native.
Yep.
Yeah. Proud of it.
Both
too.
of us come from Eastern Idaho. Yep.
So I thought you were from Oregon.
Well, I went to
Or is
high
that a
school
secret?
high school in LeGrand,
Okay.
but I was born in Idaho Falls.
Okay. Oh,
Brother in Pocatello.
I was born in Idaho Falls.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
John Adams Parkway.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I grew up and my house was right around the corner.
Yeah, my dad was a tiger.
Me too. There we go.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
Already.
Small
Small
world.
world.
Anyway, so I got a job at HP, and I was.
What year was that?
It was 2005. 2005.
Okay.
So I'd been going to Idaho State. I met my wife there. She graduated. She's from this area, and she wanted to move home. We built a house. I found a job at HP. And I started working there, and I was really excited to work there just because, my background, my degree, what I studied in school, it has nothing to do with technology. But my dad, growing up, he's an electrical engineer, but on the side, he started making personal computers for, people in the neighborhood and fixing them, and that was kind of his side hustle. And so I was just around that stuff all the time. And so I don't just technology is cool. It's new stuff, how it works. It was just that's what it was for me. It was a hobby. It was interesting.
Who was the CEO at HP at the time? Was Carly there yet?
No. Yeah, Carly had already passed. It was Mark Hurd.
Oh, yeah. All right.
It was Mark Hurd. So it was a really interesting time because, man, I'm going back. I'm trying to remember all this stuff. Carly had just created a bunch of chaos, but Mark Hurd came in, and he was being praised because he was hyper-focused on reducing operational costs, which ultimately, in the end, in my opinion, killed the innovation of the company.
Yep.
Right? They stopped doing that, and then they really started having trouble, and then he got exposed for, obviously, his crap, and,
Yep.
it kind of went downhill. But I got a job. I was a consultant within our sales teams, not directly selling, but working with sales managers to help their teams develop to sell. And so I got that job. I was working there for a while. I held couple of different roles there. And obviously you work with colleagues and things like that. And one of our sales guys, my job was to evaluate them, right? And Nathan, Nathan.
Uh-huh.
I remember I was sitting at my desk one day, and, he's kind of not very filtered, right? And I can just hear him coming down the hallway yelling,
Barking.
Who the hell is this Jesse Barker guy? Because... we have...
You gave him some honest feedback.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I gave him feedback to the letter that we were asking people to follow. He was fantastic at that job. He didn't do what he was told.
Yeah.
And he still did a great job. Probably better than what he was told. But anyway, so I met Nathan. We weren't very close, but then we got hired onto the same team so Nathan is one of the co-founders also.
Yep.
And we got hired onto this team, a marketing team, by the third founder, Manveer. And so we all kind of came together that way. But that was like the start of how we all came together.
Yep.
And then working in that job, and I know I'm being pretty vague because I'm trying to be a little fast about telling the backstory because it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the work we were doing, we got exposed to Salesforce and started doing some work nationally with universities and other big companies and their employee purchasing plans. And Salesforce was a really powerful tool behind it that was scalable.
In HP, or were you guys moonlighting?
It was within HP.
Oh, within HP.
It was within HP. So specifically what it was is I'll use the academic purchase program. Big companies, they say, hey, you go to this school, you get a discount.
Yep.
Right? They were having a really hard time scaling that program across the country. It was very, what's the word? It was very, I can't think of the right word, but they were trying to promote that and scale that program through like bookstores on campus, Barnes and Noble on campus, the sub store, student union store, stuff like that. So it was hard to reach, right? It was hard for them to reach and get that out. And so with Salesforce, we were using it as a marketing tool before they even had a marketing product. They'd come out with this product called Sites that basically allowed you to have static content, so the program content, here's the computers that we have on sale, here's the discount type, but then be able to brand it and have dynamic content specific to each school.
Right.
So they had their own URL and the CMS behind it, basic, simple stuff, right? But how people accessed it was specific to their school. So that was the scale.
Yep.
So it was a really powerful tool that scaled really big. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say that business went from about $11 million a year to over $30 million a year over the course of 2 years using
That's
that
pretty
technology.
Fast ramp. Yep.
So it was pretty quick. I probably don't have those numbers right, but it's somewhere around there. It was pretty impressive. But one night Nathan and I were in Cupertino in a hotel room. We were just chatting. He's like, hey, I got an idea.
Here comes the napkin.
He's like,
maybe
hey,
toilet paper, even better.
I got an idea. And he's just like, we're doing this for HP. We've made them a lot of money, a whole different like use case, customer, etc. But why couldn't we do this on our own? Right? So we kind of started going down that path. It was funny because MLMs kind of came to mind, like Sensi and what are the snake oils ones? doTERRA.
Oh, yeah.
And basically it just kind of started that way and started like spamming people on LinkedIn. Hey, we can make this scalable for all your consultants. They can have their own website. They can sell their own stuff. You guys can track it. Data comes back into Salesforce, blah, blah, blah. We never ended up doing an MLM, like using it. We spent a lot of time trying to push it, and it's still a great use case. But it never really took over. And, Tommy Ahlquist, he's got several investments, several companies. He actually gave us our first break because he has a company called StatPads.
Okay. Stack pads.
Stat pads.
Stat.
Like statistics.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They are defibrillators. And they have, anytime you go to a gym or anywhere, any kind of public place, they have defibrillators in their office. They had no way to track all of the supplies, when it was used, measuring the events that happened, et cetera, without physically going to it. So anyway, that's a long story, but that was our first local client. We used Salesforce to deliver it to them. We had a team in India, and that's
doing
how it
dev
all
for you
started.
guys.
Yeah, we moonlighted for a while. So with India on one side, perfect 12-hour time difference. Go to your day job, 8 to 5 or whatever, take a little break in between, start at 8 p.m. You can work with the other team in India, their day starts. And you
How
just
many
go.
how many hours a day were you putting in when you guys got Zenify cranked up?
A lot. It was at least 18.
Yeah, 18
At
hours.
least.
Married.
Yeah.
Kids
Married.
yet?
Yeah, I had 3.
Oh yeah. So
And-
you're going.
I
Nuts.
also started my master's program at the same time. So,
Well, sorry.
yeah, I don't know. It was something.
So full-time job, startup job,
Yeah.
married, 3
Yeah.
kids,
yeah,
and then you were, crazy enough to.
I might have only had 2 kids at that time. No, I had 3.
Wow.
I had 3. So
And
I
your wife
just
was working
busy.
full-time.
Yeah, close. I
Yeah.
mean, she's in healthcare and she works like she's always had a 4-day week.
Yeah, flexible.
Sometimes she puts in 40 hours, sometimes it's 35. But it was a zoo.
All right,
I don't know how I did it.
Okay, so when did, and we're kind of getting up to where we come into the picture, right?
Yeah.
In the timeline. Okay, so you guys ventured out. You guys were like down on the top floor of the Hop House. We got to give those guys a plug too. What's the name of that place? The Heritage Hop House.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Heritage Hop House.
Right, great beer, and then
Yeah.
what's the sushi place right there?
Sushi.
Happy Sushi. Sushi.
No.
It's the truck.
Sushi Shack. Sushi
Shack. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great building, and you guys were on the top floor. It's amazing with those two.
That wasn't even our first office.
Oh, where was the first office?
No, the first office. I remember Nathan and I, I don't know, HP, at the end of our HP tenure, they were doing a big real estate consolidation. So because we were working with, on the HP side, people nationally and even starting to work with some people down in South America and stuff, we didn't work with anybody here. And so they're like, hey, you guys can go home. So I worked from home for 2.5, 3 years straight.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have a place to go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It got to the point where when my wife was starting to get frustrated, asking me if I was going to wear normal clothes.
Yeah.
Dress like a human. But so we started out in Nathan's basement. I remember we got our first.
So let me just get Cupertino,
Yeah.
napkin, hotel room, dark rainy night, and
It actually was a dark, rainy night.
See, you guys holed up in a hotel room, came up with the idea to create Zenify.
But that was just 2 of us. And we started, the third person that we brought in was our boss. So we started moonlighting, setting up stuff, doing a few things here and there, trying to, keep things on the up and up. And Nathan wanted to bring Manveer in. He was our boss at the time. And so we sat down with him and just had a conversation.
Now,
and
where was
he
Manveer
in.
located at?
He was in Roseville, California,
Okay.
Sacramento area.
Okay, so he's down where the SAC office is.
So that was a dark, rainy night in New Mexico.
Okay.
It's funny how you remember these things so clearly.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, I mean, they're pivotal points in your life, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's always that
It's funny too because it was never when it was never scary.
natural move.
Yeah, natural move. I mean, it got scary. We can talk about that too. Everybody that thinks all this stuff is easy, and they sit and scroll through Instagram, and guys sitting next to their rented Lamborghini telling you how you can make millions in 2 months.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
a
that's
lie,
bullshit.
man. It's a lie.
Yeah.
But
Hard work is hard work, man. If you're gonna get anywhere, you got to put in you got to grind.
it's time. It really is time, and it was hard. It is a lot of time. It causes other problems. You have to sacrifice things.
Yep. Yep. Prioritize. Okay, so you guys started in the basement, and then when did you guys move over to the Hop House?
Well, we moved from the basement. We went actually in the same area. So I can't remember what the little square called is. There's a coffee shop in the bottom floor, industrial looking building. But we found a little office up in the top
Yeah.
there.
Okay. It's just a few guys. It's
Yeah.
really easy to find office space.
Yeah.
Just
There
a
were
couple guys.
three little offices, conference room, and it was I don't know, just a little space. I was there every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And then how long were you guys in the downtown Meridian location?
Long time. I don't remember. I'm bad with dates.
Yeah, no,
I'm
fair
really
enough.
bad with dates. But
Did
for
Stat
good.
Pads launch you guys?
Launch us in the sense, it was our first real customer.
Okay, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. It was the first real customer.
Like, holy shit,
first
we
money
got
that
we got something
in.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doesn't help that it wasn't Tommy Alquist,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
He
President-
probably doesn't even remember that. But
Ball Ventures.
yeah, and there were little things
Alquist,
because of
BVA.
being connected to him. We did the video board down at
8th and Main.
8th and Main,
Yep.
and just a few other little things. Not really the work that we do, but it was work that we were capable of doing. that we just kind of like use to propel.
Well, I mean, he trusted you guys, and you're on the technical side, right? When someone finds someone they trust on the technical side, they tend to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we get a lot of that, side business here from, can you do this? It's really not in our scope, but by the nature of the relationship that we have, we,
Yeah.
kind of AV and all that other stuff. So you guys were in the hop house.
Yep.
This is where we come into the board on a real small scale, but it's just interesting about how this escalated. So
Yeah.
you guys were working with Tommy.
Yep.
Tommy was at Gardner Company.
Yep.
Right. And after the gubernatorial race, primaries, I think, he split off, and they wanted to do some other things, differently, and they hold up Ball Ventures Allquest BVA, and which has beautiful, fantastic buildings. Right where you guys are at, 10 Mile, and then Eagle View Landing, where Top Golf is at. Power Engineers just went in. ICC, I mean, beautiful campuses, right? So if you're looking to start a company, you need office space, definitely Ball Ventures, Allquest, BVA, and Boise might be a good place. You can talk to
everything.
Holt Haga over there.
Yeah. A little bit.
Which takes me back to my soccer days, which you just found out about.
Yeah, I did just find out about that. Yeah, Gazelles.
Oh, yeah.
Attaboy.
I wore them for you today.
Did you?
I dressed down. I mean, no offense to you, but I remember you said the other day when you saw me, you was like, you don't make me feel so bad.
No, I think it's good. If you got to do it and it works for you, you do it.
Yeah.
I used to.
No, I get it.
I don't need to now.
Yeah.
Only on special occasions.
Okay, so you guys were working with Tommy. Tommy built that beautiful building over at 10 Mile. That was the first one. They were in the space that you were in, and then they had their space built out on floor 2, which was beautiful. And then you guys holed up into 4 where they were at.
Yep.
And waiting for your beautiful space that you're currently in now on floor 1.
Yep.
Okay. I get a phone call from Denise, who's the executive assistant, right, for Nathan at the time. And she says, Chris, I got your contact information from Cody over at BVA and said to call you to get us some internet.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's easy, right? And she says, well, we've been trying to get internet for like months, right? And working with your current, IT provider. And I said, well, that's funny. I mean, we have... So what most people don't understand is we are a CLEC with CenturyLink. We have direct access into all of CenturyLink's facilities, right? So when I get this phone call from Denise saying, oh, that's easy. I think we had that circuit turned up like in a couple days.
Quick. Yeah.
Real quick.
Yep.
And like blew her away, right? And I think the other thing that kind of blew her away was not only that, I think she enjoyed working with us.
Yeah.
Right, clearly. Then she, obviously we got involved with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I
And-
still remember our first meeting up on that floor. You had that yellow iPhone. I was like, who is this guy? He's got a yellow iPhone.
Well, I got the yellow iPhone probably because it was one of the only ones left, or more importantly, because everyone was going to hate it. And if someone was going to steal my phone, they didn't want a yellow iPhone.
Yeah, I remembered it.
Yeah. Which is actually funny because I think my 9-year-old is using that phone.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, dumbed down. No SIM card, right? Just as a
Yeah.
glorified, bricked
iPad or
iPad,
something.
whatever. So our relationship began with just delivering, a $65 a month,
Yep.
internet thing.
Yep.
Because you guys were under contract, you were growing with another IT company,
Yeah.
and
I won't name the company, but
No,
it's really bad.
it was
It was
really bad.
really, really bad. Do you want me to elaborate on that
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah.
We were a small company, right?
How many employees at that
I
time?
think we probably had maybe like 40, 50 maybe.
Right.
It wasn't very
And between
big.
both locations, so
Yeah.
you had the SAC office.
Yeah.
Yep. Because Manveer was obviously down
Well,
there.
actually, at that time, I don't think we had it yet.
Hmm.
Oh, we did have a space. But we were still small, and we were really just hiring locally, like only hiring people in Sacramento and only hiring in Boise. A few people here and there elsewhere, but we were really focused on local. But it started to make sense. I was handling all of the IT stuff just by default. It's just, I don't know. I guess I have a skill for it, or I just like it. I don't know. I just like, hey, Jesse became like, I need help. And,
Hey, Jesse.
and me just in general, I like to be helpful. I like to you know, just provide service. You
Yeah.
know, that's just how I was raised up.
Yeah.
You know, I just like to, if I can help, I will help.
Yeah, and you like the technology side, and you
Yeah.
you had a natural, because I think that some people just get kind of intimidated by that,
Yeah.
right? You and I are a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm the technical side for me is, I would say I'm not technical.
Yeah.
Right. I'm more of a network engineer, but I knew that it was a need, and I figured out how to leverage. I mean, my background's in accounting. At Boise State, right? I sold computers, in the bookstore, for work study, and that's kind of how I got on the technical side.
Yeah.
But I don't build computers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do any of this. I build computers, or I have really smart guys out there. We're building this wicked computer for golf
I
simulator.
saw it.
Shit.
I saw it. Yeah, I like it.
Will is just like salivating over
I'm
this
sure
thing.
he is. When I walked back there, I was like, this is like candy store.
Don't
All
touch
kinds
it.
of toys.
Don't touch it. Yeah. So
I
true.
don't get to see hardware anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you go hang out with Will for a day.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas around here, right?
I know.
And so I just don't have that passion for technology. I mean, I get made fun of a lot because I use a MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I use a MacBook because I'm in that ecosystem. It's a
I
little
use
bit
a
easier.
MacBook
Yeah.
too. You're stuck.
Yeah, I am stuck. So you're having a bad time with.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to say the name, but I'm not going to say the
Oh,
name
yeah, I'd love to see
because
the
it's
name.
it's a national company, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they grew by acquisition.
Yes. Yeah.
So they just went around and
But and I mean, it was when you look it up, like IT service provider, they're one of the first ones that pops up in the area, right? And so it was just like, well, we need some help. One person trying to do this, not scalable. Plus, I was still doing client work. I was doing consulting and a bunch of other stuff. It just wasn't scalable, and I don't think our people were getting the help that they needed in a timely way. Anyway, so going through this onboarding process, man, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare because we're a smaller company. Things are pretty simple, right? And they just wanted to overcomplicate every little thing. And they were taking too much time to get stuff done, not following through. It was a nightmare. So that's when I think you and I started having conversation.
well, you definitely vetted me, right? And to be honest with you, this is the interesting thing, and I think we can come full circle about this, right? Because I had a vision, right? So we were doing internet and voice for a long time. That's what we were doing for BVA.
Yeah.
And I got pissed off at dealing with the other IT companies because they didn't know shit from Shinola when it came to networks, right? They were really good at doing server updates and patches and Windows 7,
All that
whatever it
old
was.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. We just puts a new video card in a Windows 7 machine yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And it took us like 2.5 hours to get done because nothing worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
not surprised.
Yeah. So, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about working with the IT companies that didn't know anything.
Yeah. So in 2017, I said, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So I launched Symantec. I was tired of playing nice in the sandbox because when we would go in, we'd roll out internet, we'd roll out voice. Inevitably, we ran into the IT guys.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as you know, back in the day, voice, when you put voice onto a network, it becomes really sensitive to jitter, latency, basically shitty networks.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. Well, I got tired of being blamed for their crappy networks, right? So Crandall Swenson was actually a CPA firm for us. That was kind of the first deal where I said, okay, here's the deal. I will pay for your entire network upgrade and fix all of your problems. And if I do fix all of your problems, then you get to pay for the network, right? Well, not only did it work, and they ended up paying for the network, they fired their single, one-man band, IT guy and moved in with us. The thing with the one-man, chuck in a truck, whatever they want to call them, is they're good, but the problem is that what most people don't understand is it's the response time and the downtime and the help desk.
Well,
right?
it's even like, using myself as an example, I know a lot about a lot. but I don't specialize in any one thing.
Yeah.
So I have no shame in asking somebody else for help. Right. Just because it's a necessity, you can't let your ego get in the way of that. And I think a lot of like IT guys, that solo person, a lot of times are like, well, I hold all the keys.
I can do it. Yeah,
everybody's
I can do it.
expecting me to know everything. I fell victim to that a little bit.
Yeah.
I did that a little bit. Not out of ego, but because I felt it was my responsibility. But it's not the right way to do things.
Yeah, it doesn't scale. And so we launched Smanatech, right? And we started with Justin, right? We just interviewed him in his 5-year, and obviously you spent a lot of time working with Justin, right? I mean, in the beginning, it was Justin and Chez.
Yeah, both of them.
But when you and I were talking, we didn't have the business model set. All I had was a vision, right? And you really took a chance on us in saying, okay, I mean, you're speaking the right thing. We didn't have any of that operational stuff behind. I mean, if you look at all the stuff that we're doing for you right now, you have helped us grow, right? And I'll be honest with you, we're here today because of the stuff that you've entrusted us with to help us be better, because we've taken what we've learned from you, right? And we've provided that same level of service and knowledge to our other customers.
Man, and I probably haven't made it easy on you either.
Well, I think you've made it, better. I mean, you sent a lot of questions to us, but I think that's the whole point of the collaboration, is the fact that you trusted us to say, shit, I don't know what the fuck this looks like.
Yeah.
But I think it could be this, what does it look like, right? And we spent a lot of time, collaborating when you guys rolled out the big Okta thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was... that was new to us. We hadn't done that, right? But it's not that we can't learn it. It's just the fact that, okay, well, is this going to work?
I think that's what the thing that I have appreciated the most is, I don't ever come to you guys and expect you to know the answer, right? Sometimes you guys do, and it's great. But usually when I come to you, I need some help figuring it out.
Yeah.
And the guys always jump in and figure it out. It may take a little time. They may need a little more info from me, but it's more, it feels like it's an extension of me or my team, to be able to help solve those problems. We can't know everything all the time and just have the answer. There's too much.
Well,
right?
it is, and we'll definitely claim that. What's really cool, right? So if you look out there, so Blue Team, right, our help desk. I love coming out there and listening to the conversations that those guys are having, right? And not only, it's more often than not, I'll see two guys hovering around trying to work on a problem for someone else, whether it's, QuickBooks or a printer or a scanner. We always joke around here, right? Printers are the demise of IT.
Printers.
Oh, my Lanta.
Yeah, they are.
Those guys screw up a lot of things. The collaboration for us is the fact that someone else has a piece of knowledge, and so our guys are just like you. They're not afraid to ask a question, because at the end of the day, we're here to complete the mission, right? Our mission is to keep our customers' computers and internet running fast and secure. If it's not doing that, you've got downtime. You got big problems.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting thing about IT?
Yeah.
You go from, I don't know, a lot of people in a lot of roles, they relish in the attention or the accolade or the recognition for what they do. In this industry, if it's quiet and there's nothing going on, guess what? That means you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of noise or there's a lot of attention, that means you got problems.
Yeah,
it's just completely backwards.
Yep, it is.
And you got to get comfortable with that too.
Yeah, and so we have grown with you guys, right? Because this year it's 2023. We probably brought you on as a customer 2018?
I think
5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, I think
5 years.
It was 2018.
Yeah, and I remember this. I remember when we signed the docs, and you said you jumped into the IT companies and you found 4 or 5 old tickets, problems, and you gave them to me, and I took them back. I gave them to Justin. Justin had all that shit fixed, and by the end of that day,
quick,
real
quick.
And now, granted, those guys will tell you. I mean, we were doing 3 or 4 tickets a day, right? I mean, we just didn't have it, but we had this vision to get this done. So we brought on, 4 large customers about the same time that we brought you on, right? So from an operational standpoint, we ramped, pretty quick. But for us, how has the relationship where that started when you and I signed that document to where Zenify is today. What is it? I mean, you're an IT director. How do we help supplement all the stuff that you're trying to get done? Because most people, I mean, we probably do the most for you as far as onboarding, offboarding, access into Okta, and all these other, different things. How does that help you do your job?
Yeah, it's so my highest priority from my perspective, where I sit at, in my role is really making sure that our people that are working with our customers, technology is not a problem, right? We have all different aptitudes of technology, people that, don't know how to do ABC, XYZ, and people that know how to do it all on their own. Right? But I want to make sure that they have the right tools and they're not ever halted by technology in any way. Does it happen? Sure, it happens. But when it does happen, we want to make sure that it's not something like that they remember. It was taken care of quick. It was just a little hiccup. Maybe they didn't know how to do something. And so that's where you guys have really helped me, going back to that single point of contact. At one point, when you're a single point of contact, you don't have enough time in the day. Plus, things are falling through the cracks, organizing how things are prioritized, how they're gathered, how they're worked through, that sort of thing. That's where, I can confidently say with our users, all the time I hear great things about you guys. We've been trained intentionally, by the way, just even as end users of other tools, apps on our phones, whatever it is, to not want to call and ask for help. We're looking for a way to chat or something like that. And they want us to do that because it costs less, right? Yep. But we've also been trained to do that because the service has been so shitty. I don't want to call in and get support from Samsung or even Apple, these big companies, because it's terrible. It is terrible.
Call it to your bank.
It. Yeah, sure.
Call the airline.
Yeah, right. So with our end users, they are not afraid to call you. If they have an issue, they will call. They're not afraid to put in an email. They're not afraid to interact with you because they know that whatever it is, it'll be fixed quick. If it's not fixed quick, there'll be an explanation why. They're not wondering what's going on.
Right.
They know exactly what's going on. They know if there's any hiccups. It's really peace of mind for me, right? Because they're being taken care of, and for them, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and when they call, we pick up the phone within 3 rings.
Yeah.
And 2, when they send a ticket in, we respond within 29 minutes, right? That's the mission of our help desk.
Yeah.
Everything rolls around that stuff. Now, here's an interesting point. I remember you and I talking. You said, Chris, we do 4 or 5 tickets a day or 10 tickets a week or whatever the damn number was, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know shit. I had no idea what the hell we were just about ready to get into, right? And I remember going back to the office saying, okay, deal's done. We'll figure this out as we go. Yeah. But the interesting thing is that ticket count for you guys increased.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was slow, but and necessarily it was fast, but it was steady. Mm-hmm. And one of the things wasn't the fact that you guys had more problems.
No.
It was simply the fact that word started to get around that we were going to actually answer the damn phone and we were going to fix the problems.
Yeah.
So naturally, this ticket count, just because you guys, you guys teeter, either number 1 or number 2 still today for a total ticket count. Yeah. Right now, there's a lot of little things that we're doing, that are quick fixes, but still, those quick fixes still need to be fixed.
Yeah.
Right. We just have the processes in place that we can, knock that shit out of the park and really quick. We don't let stuff sit on our desk anytime. Right. We do a full ticket review every Friday at 4:00. Mm-hmm. And we have a threshold for any ticket that sits longer than 3 days, right, has to be approved. And then I review every single ticket.
Oh, wow.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which has been a new role for me. Not that I'm going to continue to do it, but I have it gives me a really good pulse of what's going on. And we'll close somewhere between, 50, 60 tickets a day.
Wow.
Right. And just the way that we do, our closing notes and whatnot. So the natural progression, right? So in other sales meetings, people say, well, we don't have a lot of tickets. And I say, you don't have a lot of tickets because there's no confidence for them to and we get tickets now where people are just like, I have no idea what the problem is. I'm not even sure it's your problem.
Yeah.
But let's call in, just like you, let's just call in Smatec and let's see what it is. Now, the really cool thing, as you know, we take full ownership of all those tickets.
Yep.
We're always trying to find answers, right? And we have a direct escalation path inside our organization, right? And there are times when you'll send a note in, we'll get a note from a user. It'll escalate all the way up to, Justin, and Justin will reach out to you and say, okay, we got some shit's not working here, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That ticket just rolled right through our operation.
Yeah, it's always quick.
And you didn't even know that it was an issue until Justin reached out to you and said, hey, listen, you're right, which I think is really hard to replicate.
I think it is too, because it takes all sides. It takes your end users, it takes the guys that are on desk that are trying to work on it. And you got to be able to get a hold of me too. It's a lot of people, I think end users, not that they're afraid to raise issues, but like sitting in my seat, a lot of times I don't know there's a problem unless you tell me.
Yeah.
Right. There's obviously ways where you can detect and see problems. You get system email, that kind of stuff. But I think the ones that fester the most are ones that people don't want to bring up until they get to a breaking point where they're just so frustrated that then they come out with it. And then it makes it seem way worse than it was. But with you guys and them not being afraid to just like get it out, those things don't fester. Right? They don't become bigger problems than they are because they've been sitting for so long.
What do you think the experience would have been like had you not found Smatec?
I might have died. I don't know. It was the other thing that I really like that I think you guys are an extension of me is I'm very personable with every one of our end users. I'm never dry. I'm never, like I really want to help them out. And so what it would have been like for me, I was spending so much time on every little thing to where I wasn't getting to other things. And I didn't have a good way to organize, prioritize, and deal with that work. Right?
Do you guys were you guys using a ticketing system at that
No.
time? Internally? No.
It was, when we were on Teams.
Trash,
shit.
But. Yeah, Slack. Don't get us started on.
But it just started, everybody would just Slack. Right?
Bing, bing, bing.
And how do you keep track of all that?
Yeah,
I mean, stuff would fall through the cracks. So I think with you guys, what was really helpful is a ticketing system. And we still had, it was kind of a challenge to get everybody adopting that new motion.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it was me too, right? It was me like, okay, you guys got this, you got this. And nothing to do with you guys. It was just, something I've been doing for so long. I expected it to be perfect, and I didn't want it to not be.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't want it to be an issue for the end user.
Yeah, I think the thing for me, like talking to other IT directors, right? So typically IT directors, they got 3 or 4 guys, right? And these guys are work like dogs, right? There's a lot of burnout in our industry in the IT because they're just being pulled in so many different directions. And in my opinion, they're running around putting out fires all day.
Yeah, and I also, that burnout too, I think there's an expectation. A lot of end users treat these guys like they should know right off the top of their head. They expect a quick answer. Not that they have to go research or look something up, but that's a reality.
Yeah.
Right? That's just what it is. And so I think, a lot of people in this industry also get frustrated because they're not treated as a problem solver. They're treated as a manual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the thing with us on the personable side, that's one of the struggles I think a lot of businesses also have with presidents and founders and or whatever, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call them, is okay, so I'm out there, I'm on the front lines, I'm building this company, people trust me, right? And as you start to grow and scale, you can't be the front face of
No.
that stuff anymore. So one of the things that we do on our interviewing process, and I think you've seen this and experienced, is the fact that all of our guys are very personable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So our vision statement is technology is what we do. It's not who we are, right? We're humans first, and that's what my interview process is like. It's like. And then I don't know if you know this, right? But we did the last round before we hired Kyle. We were looking for techs, and we just got inundated with all this bullshit, right? And people were writing this stuff down, and right, they look great on paper, as you know, great on paper. They come in here and they don't know shit. Well,
Or they can't articulate it because they're not human.
yeah, they didn't copy and paste out of fucking Cisco manual. Anyway, so James, I told James, I said, this is done. You need to create a 30-minute lab, and we need to bring people into the gauntlet. And if they test out of the lab, right? And now the lab, James had a lot of fun with this too, and I think Justin participated. It's not like pass fail. It's not like they have to know everything. All we're looking for is, what is their process for solving problems.
It's your process. It's your mindset. It's your aptitude. It's your attitude. It's just how do you tackle a problem?
Yeah, because
Right?
if so, all we're doing is just trying to make sure that what they're saying from a technical standpoint is up to speed. So when they get through that, and we don't have very many people to get that. Of 50 resumes, we probably have not even 5.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Not at
and
all.
so Kyle flew that. Dan, not Dan, Aaron. I don't know if you met Aaron yet. Kind of flew through that. Now, once they get to me, we don't talk anything technical. It's all personal.
Good.
Like, who are you? What do you do? What are your goals? Right? All these questions where they've really never been asked those questions, especially in our interview process. But it's so critical for us and me to find guys that are good on the phone. They like being good people. They're kind, compassionate, right? Think of Shez, right? And Justin and all these guys. We're specifically looking for the person that fits our culture. And it has nothing to do with the technical ability.
No, the technical ability can be learned. The other
That's
stuff
right.
is
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So just like, it's right here. Technology is what we do. It's not who we are. And so that was interesting on the personable side, is the fact that people like our methodology, like my methodology, and trying to get that methodology, pushed down to all the guys. And I'll tell you, it's, we got 12 guys. They're all on the same page. And they're all on the same page because we preach it, right? Every Friday. Well, we're bringing in lunch for you. By the way, we know what your standing order is.
I assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
all
you told
good.
me it was ordered,
It was
like,
ordered. Yep, good to go.
Do you want me to tell you a secret?
What?
I've had that 3 days in a row for lunch.
Oh, shit.
No, not a bad thing.
Oh.
It's a great thing.
Oh, yeah. But it's funny, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason came in. And you have some experience with Jason, right?
Yeah.
That kid's a great story.
Yeah,
Powerful
he is.
story, yeah. He comes in here and goes, okay, I just want to make sure I get Jesse's order right. And he goes, so do you think there's an Italian, or is it, what was the other Italian, the Great Italian or something like that? I said, listen, Jesse's a pretty plain guy. I just ordered the Italian with the cherry bomb relish
Yeah,
or
you
whatever
got
it
it.
is on white bread.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, see?
Yep.
And but I just think it's cool that those guys have a lot of respect for you,
Yeah.
and they work hard for you.
Yeah, they do.
And that's really hard to get from an outsourced third-party team.
It is. It's always really interesting to me. I love coming here too.
Yeah.
You
You love the new office?
Yeah, I do.
Especially
It's really
the
nice.
old sardine can that we
Yeah.
were in beforehand.
But even in that office, every time I walk in, they all get up and come say hi to me.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it's flattering. I appreciate it. It's nice. It also makes me feel a little like you guys are making too big of a deal. But they're great. I if I ever had to change careers or do something, I'd want to be here.
Ah, well, we
I
appreciate
think
that.
I've told you that
Yeah.
before. I just, it's a great group.
Yeah, I want these guys to love, hanging out.
Yeah.
Right? So,
They do. You can tell.
yeah, they can tell. Well, we got 3 of them living together.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but we have an in-house arbiter
Really? Who is it?
for them, James.
Oh,
So if
okay.
any three of them, because I told them on the onset, right? You three can live together, but I'm not putting up with any of your bullshit. So
Yeah.
you guys got to find someone who's going to mediate for you guys if there's ever an issue.
I think
and James is it.
I think your next episode needs to be the three of them
Oh, shit.
together, telling
Yeah.
their stories of living together. How long have they lived together?
6 months, I think.
Wait, who is it? Who all lives together?
Oh, it's Justin, Shez, and Victor.
Oh, I don't know Victor well enough. Like Justin and Shez, I can see being good together just because, just their personalities.
Yeah.
But in Victor, I don't know Victor real well. But
Yeah, Victor's the chef.
wait, so has there had to have been any
No arbitration
yet?
yet. No arbitration yet. It's pretty good.
It's if not when,
Those guys are
or
chill.
when not if.
They're chill.
I know.
Right,
They're good.
they're all gaming together and doing a bunch of other stuff too. So, but I also do think that kind of provides a little bit of testament to kind of the relationships that those guys have, here. And yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, it's crazy to me that we hired Justin. And every time I go out, I was right, Justin. We're gonna see if we can get this, Zenify deal, because you guys were under contract. Like, I think it's also important to understand the fact that
Yeah, we were under contract for several more years. I
Yeah.
had to go the legal route to get out of that. Actually, did I have to go the legal route? I think I made my point to their one of their VPs that, like, look, you haven't done what you're told.
Yeah.
We'll take it there if we need to, and they let us out of contract.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Well, I remember us having to remove some old lingering tools off of some of that shit. And,
Yeah.
terrible. That's another interesting thing. So we typically have very low attrition from customers, right? We do lose some customers more often than not because they get bought by another company.
Yeah.
We've got Extendabed just got bought by Adrian Steele out of Michigan.
Oh, no doubt. I didn't know that.
$350 million company. It's huge.
Yeah.
And Troy is like beside himself because he's just like, I have no idea if I'm going to get the same level of,
Yeah.
service. And Troy, like you, always is offering up to be a reference for us.
Yeah.
Like, who can I talk to?
Yeah.
Right. And he's been a big champion for us. We're going to have him on the podcast because I want to understand how he evaluated or valued his company in that whole process, because I think a lot of people, that's exit strategy for them, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
build up a company, try to get out too. So, so what's next for like Zenify?
We obviously, I don't think we touched on this, but at one point, Zenify, we used to be doing general business, and I'll explain that a little bit. We're a partner of Salesforce.
Yep.
Salesforce.com, they have their sales team. They have a great platform. They go out, they sell their licenses to companies. Companies say, okay, we need somebody to make it ours. So we go in and we make it theirs. It's highly customizable. We work with the customer and make sure that they're getting the best value out of their spend with Salesforce.
Yep.
So we're a partner of Salesforce. And in the beginning, we did a lot of general business.
How big of a partner are you guys?
We're a Summit partner, which is the highest level.
Okay. So it's legit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that the next level for us would be like the PwCs and Deloitte's. They're GSI's global partners.
Yep.
So we're Summit partner, which is the highest level that you can be without being a global partner.
So
Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah.
It's legit.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, long way. But sorry, did you have another
No,
question?
no.
I was going to transition to, we started out with that general business and we took on a lot of local customers and, we just did whatever. Anybody that needed Salesforce, worked with a lot of local companies, Simplot, Truckstop.com. I think we even did some work for Crazy Coupon Lady. We spent some time with BME, Nemo
yeah.
Arms,
Yep.
like several local companies, and we did a lot there. And, at one point, Salesforce released a new product, Financial Services Cloud, right? Their platform, man, if everybody could just realize it, you can use it in any industry, but they built a product that was specific to financial services, banking, blah, blah, blah. That's the stuff that, for me is kind of boring.
Yeah.
But we made a pivot and started working with their sales team that was at Financial Services Cloud, and it blew up. And it was really good for us. And we started to grow to a point now where that's our primary focus is financial services. So So what's next for us? The financial services the industry over the past year and a half, the economy in general. I mean, things have been rough, right? A lot of people don't want to spend, and so I think we took an opportunity to kind of slow down our growth, reduce, fill holes in our tent, and get ready to grow again when the time is right. So we're pushing towards that.
When do you think that's going to happen? What's the headwinds out there in the market?
I think if we are flat this year, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a good thing if we stay flat. Because I mean, we had years where we had double-digit growth for multiple years, right? Surprising to even us. So I think if we can stay flat this year, I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. I mean, it could go the other direction.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know. I think we've done everything internally that we need to do to make sure that we're prepared. And, as long as we continue to do those things, we'll be in good shape. We've got the right people in place in the right spots. The macro environment has an impact.
Yeah.
It has an impact, and it's not wonderful right now.
Yeah, I think that, growth is an interesting challenge, right? I mean, for us, we really don't focus on growth, right? I think growth is a byproduct.
I agree.
We have a simple, right? So our blue team, we call it blue team. We don't like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Yeah.
That's kind of, just think about it.
Yeah.
So we got blue team, green team, red team.
Mm-hmm.
So our blue team is our help desk. And Shez started the help desk, right? Didn't have a help desk lead, created the position, whatever. Now he's moved over to kind of in the early stages of our red team because he's learning, different stuff. And Jeremy is taking that over. And we, like I said, we do a blue team ticket review every single day. Every Friday, once a week. Most of our customers don't understand. I mean, everyone is looking at these tickets like all day long, right? I mean, we are very intentional. Why are we intentional about tickets? Well, because tickets are problems. Problems are downtime, right? So the thing for us is if we can continue to pick up the phone on 3 rings, respond to every ticket within 29 minutes. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we're going to fix every problem within 29 minutes. That's impossible.
Right.
But we're taking ownership of that. That is what we're focusing on. And I'll guarantee you, if we continue to focus, because that sounds easy, but try to scale that.
Yeah, hard.
Holy shit, right? And that would be a whole nother podcast. By the way, how are we doing for time, Parrish? How's the camera battery? Holy shit, I bought the right camera.
Good job.
Is if we focus on that, right, on one day at a time, every phone call, every email, businesses will find us.
Yeah.
Businesses will find us. And that growth then becomes the byproduct because then we have the operational scalability, right? Because what was the scalability like for you guys? I mean, if you're growing at that clip, you got to hire, we got to onboard, we got assets.
I mean, you guys were part of it, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it was constant. We were growing super fast, and it was really interesting. I'm a big fan of what you're saying about, organic growth in the sense is that you just focus on your craft and people will find you. I like that. Sometimes it takes longer.
Yeah.
Or it's a little harder, but it's real, right? It's not manufactured. And I'm not saying we manufactured anything. I don't think we did. But it's when you're a partner and you're working with, another company, you kind of ebb and flow with them, and that's kind of how it's been for us with Salesforce. When they get really busy and their revenue's high, it translates to us because they're passing their customers on to us.
Right.
But the growth was pretty crazy.
What was some of the stumbling blocks from a scalability standpoint? If there's one thing that kind of stands out from kind of the IT side, operations, right? Because IT is
there's plenty
in everything
on all sides, but from our side, that onboarding thing, I think, when we were starting to hire and bring in 18 people at a time, and I was just doing all the onboarding, I had to find ways to get more efficient about it.
Yeah.
And one of them was having you guys manage a lot of the hardware. I had to, figure out what tools we're going to use. Okta was a huge help in that. So it's
single sign-on for
Yeah.
all the tools. Yeah.
Yeah, and provisioning.
Yeah.
Right? You use 15 systems. You don't want to go into each system and create a user in each single system. One user would take you an hour and a half.
Right.
Right? So Okta was really instrumental in that. That was
Well, I think
huge.
I think our onboarding document for you is 3 or 4 pages long.
It's pretty long.
I mean, it is. And you and Will, I think, worked through that based on trial and error. Obviously, that we didn't hit that out of the park the first time, and it probably grew from 1 page to 3 pages. But
Yeah. That's okay though, man. It was like iterative process building is I still do it all the time. I mean, it's like our processes aren't nailed down, right? My processes aren't nailed down, and constantly I find something else. I'm like, okay, we got to go back and redo this, or change this, or change that.
do you think that
just have
makes
to
you
be
unique?
open that
Do
way.
you think that makes you unique that you go back and have that internal feedback loop?
Me personally,
Yeah.
or just I don't know if that makes me. I think there's a lot of people that probably do that. I think it's a smart thing to do. How often do you hear people say, "Well, that's just how we do it,"
Yeah.
right?
Or that's the way it's been done for fucking 15 years.
Yeah,
that's
and
what we
dumb
run
shit.
in. No shit. That's what we run into in the IT space.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. I mean, when I'm out talking to people and I say, listen, I'm in the IT management, their eyes just roll back into things because what are all of the negative connotations that come with that?
Inflexibility, rigidness. No,
Rude, condescending,
Yeah.
arrogant,
Yeah.
asshole. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, have you watched that show? What is that show called? It's on Netflix. Called The IT Crew or something like that.
IT crew.
I got to
You seen that,
remember what
Krish?
it's called.
The British one.
Yeah, no, it's not a British. It may have started out that way, but they have I'll have to look it up and show you. It mocks all the
Oh, okay.
all the things that we go through and deal with on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, and so there's a lot of negative connotation around that because I think traditionally IT people have been stuffy,
Yeah,
right? I mean, our reputation is because of what we've led people down to, what their experiences are.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that the guys will tell you is the fact that so Shez is always on Reddit,
yeah,
right? And whenever we kind of run up to a challenge, he's going on Reddit and kind of regurgitating, back about kind of what the industry standard is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I always give pushback to say, well, listen, if that's an industry standard, is that pro customer or pro vendor,
yeah, yeah.
right? Or sorry, pro client, pro company. And more often than not, it's not pro client.
No, and I think going back to your interviewing process and your guys and how they are, who they are as people, they're personable, etc. What's different? IT guys, they used to just know like the technical side, right?
Yeah.
And so they could explain something technically, but it came across a certain way, rigid. I still think there needs to be rigidness and certain practices and things like that. But if you don't have the ability to explain why to somebody that doesn't understand it, that's where that negative connotation comes from.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be able to take, feedback from an end user or a person using your technology, internalize it, translate it technically, take the solution technically and translate it back to somebody that doesn't fully understand the technical side. That is unique.
Yeah.
But I think people are getting better at it. You find more and more people like that.
Well, that is, Justin. So Justin didn't come through our traditional interviewing process,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he was. I don't know how he fell in our lap, but he's been. I mean, this is his team,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but that's one thing that Justin is really good at. That he's taught the team is how to articulate super technical things into non-technical things and give them the confidence in the fact that, listen, first of all, you don't need to know this. That's why you have us. You're not stupid, and we're going to take care of you. That's
it.
But it's so hard.
I would almost say, I don't know that he just had that. I think he's developed that.
Oh,
He's worked at that.
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot of growth here personally and professionally, for sure.
Yeah, you know, even sometimes like there's technology. You guys' network knowledge is great.
Yeah.
I don't know jack about it. Like basics, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's realized that I don't know jack about it, and so over time, you know, he assumes that I don't, and how he explains it makes sense to me, right?
Right.
So I think that's something that he's developed that is not an easy thing to develop.
Yeah.
It's hard to have patience with people that don't understand what you're talking about, but are demanding, you know, to understand it, demanding answers.
Well, and then, you know, technology is made us impatient.
Absolutely.
Holy shit.
Fickle,
I mean,
finicky. You know, I'll have people ask me, like, they'll say, oh, there's all these problems, and they're just very vague about all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, let's get specific about this. What is the problem? And I'm, first of all, like, I don't know. You have to come to some sort of acceptance that with technology, there will be issues, right? It's tech. A human told something what to do, right? It's going to have problems.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it's going to get confused and not know what to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the other things I talk about is the fact that, listen, you could go get a Meraki access point in 500 different places.
Yep.
You can get a UniFi switch, a Netgear switch. You can get a damn Dell PC. You go to Costco to get a PC, right? It's when that shit breaks, creates a work stoppage.
It will break.
And it does break.
Yep.
That's right. It's who are you going to call? How are they going to respond? And how is that going to impact my business? Mm-hmm. Right? And I will tell you, I don't think business, we run into two types of business owners, right? We either run into the proactive ones like you, mm-hmm. right? Who are working together hand in hand to help you guys grow and scale, right? And then we have the customers that are reactive.
Yeah.
We're not, that's not a customer for us.
That's hard.
If you're looking for kind of break fix, we'll just call you when we just had an example the other day. We had a customer reach out to us, hadn't heard from him in 3-4 years.
Oh, wow.
Right. We deployed a firewall back earlier. And I think like before Justin, right? So maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. That's pretty good runtime with no issue.
Yeah. Well, they're, a small outfit. And so they called into us and replaced firewall, et cetera, et cetera. We have no documentation, mm-hmm. right? And Justin's asking me, okay, so, what do we want to do? And I said, well, we need to help them out to the best that we can do. The problem we have with that is the fact that takes so much of our time.
Takes a lot of your time, and you're expected to be fast.
Yeah.
And how can you?
You can't.
It's not realistic. It's not logical.
No. Right. And then you got to roll a truck. You got to figure out the passwords, the usernames. Oh, shit, I don't know. All this other stuff. That's not what we do, right? Think about all the information that we have for you, mm-hmm. right? We have that information because we have a place to store it, yep. and we have that information so we can take care of your, employees.
Yeah, and it's take time to build it.
Oh.
Right? It's taken a lot of time.
Yeah, and so it's like we want to be the best for that person, but at the end of the day, we're probably not the best fit for them. Maybe 5 years ago when, we were, scrapping for everything that we can do, and mm-hmm. we've kind of morphed into, what we are today. We shine where businesses say, hey, listen, right, we can't have downtime. If the internet's out, we got to figure out what's going on with the internet. If we got a computer that needs, fixed, that's why we have, Will. We turn around, as you know, right, laptops and hardware repairs in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. People are like, one, either bullshit, or two, how are you doing that? Well, we carry inventory. We carry a shit ton of inventory.
Yeah.
And we will actually turn around a computer that needs to be shipped from the Midwest from one of our customers faster than you could take it down to a repair shop.
Yep.
Because when you go into those computer stores, they got like a stack of laptops, right? They're like $100 bills, $100 here, $100 here.
Yep.
But they're 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think that that's tradition. The tradition is the fact that if I have a repair, think about when was the last time you had the Chevy into the dealer for a repair or an oil change?
Oh, oil change. Chevys don't go in for repairs.
Oh, shit.
That's just Fords.
Oh, here we go. You want to go down that road? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I had it in.
What was the lead time though?
Yeah, I'm not the guy to ask. I have a connection.
Oh,
It's pretty quick, but I do know what the lead time is. I mean, it's like 3-4 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
But everyone is okay at 3 or 4 weeks because that's the
It's a standard that's
it's
set.
a standard. So for us, we would
I'm
look
not
at that and
okay
say,
with it.
I'm not right. I would look at that standard and say, well, how do we make that in 24 hours? And that's what we did for our hardware side. So we don't do retail. We carry a shit ton of inventory. We have all of these processes, right? We got FedEx. We got, all of these things. We just onboarded a customer in Alaska. We just figured out that for the $5 difference between, FedEx ground and FedEx second day, FedEx has already lost 2 packages.
Oh, wow.
Well, lost and then found.
Yeah, still.
Right, got
That's
on
a delay.
the wrong plane apparently, and ended up in Southern California instead of in Seattle, going to Alaska. But there's just these standards that we've just become accustomed to.
It's so weird, too, because there's other standards that are directly against that. When you order something from Amazon and it shows up that same day, you expected that. Or the next day, you expected that. When you buy something, you expect it right away.
You think Amazon's got better or worse in the last couple of years?
In what sense?
Well, pick one. Delivery. I mean, we just got the big distribution center put here in Boise. Do you think that's made it faster or slower?
From my experience, it's been faster. I remember I was laying in bed, I don't know, one night this weekend, Saturday night or something, and my headphones went out. And I was like, well, shit, I need to get some new headphones. So I ordered some new ones. It was probably around midnight or so, and they showed up the next day.
Yeah.
Right? That's great. What I don't like about it is it teaches me to be impatient, teaches everybody to be impatient. So that's why it's kind of interesting to me. You talk to the lead time with Chevy, and me personally, that Amazon expectation, or, there's probably several other use cases, I want it now, right? And I think that goes back to the customer service expectation too. I don't want to call. I've been dealing with this issue with Amazon. Let's talk about this.
Yep.
Because here's where it's been shit.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So Amazon Business, we have an Amazon Business account. We buy a lot of our peripherals.
Oh,
and
this has
hardware.
impacted us.
Yeah, it has impacted you.
Right. Yep.
We set it up with our Okta single sign-on, etc., right? I have no idea what went on. Something happened where I got locked out of my account. Like, I had an admin user, I had a regular user. I couldn't log into my account. I'm logged into the app on my phone. That's it. I have called them. I have emailed them. I've been transferred around 8 billion times. I have chatted with them. All I want is the damn SSO turned off so that we can log in with our username and password.
Yep.
Not a single person over there understands that. And really all I need them to do is wipe out the URL. So when one of our users from our domain signs into Amazon, it doesn't look for the Okta authentication. That is it. Very basic, very simple. Can't do it myself because I can't log in.
Yep.
And it's been almost 2 months. I'm fed up with it. Like, I don't want to deal with it. That's the bad kind of customer service. That's why, I called the first couple times and it was such a shitty experience. I'm like, all right, I'll try chat. Even worse, right? But they don't want to help you. They don't want to help you.
Yeah, it's a phone number. I always find this is a telltale for customer service for me. How long does it take me to go to your website and find the phone number I need to call to get a problem fixed?
And get the phone answered.
Yeah, well, I mean, find the phone number, and then that's a whole nother
That's true.
experience.
I mean,
it's a
you're
whole
right.
nother experience.
They bury it.
No, they bury it. I mean, hidden here, hidden there, whatever. And I'm just like, they really don't, to be honest with you, don't care about, the customer.
I kind of think we've enabled it.
Oh, we've definitely enabled it.
We've enabled it in the sense, even going back to the same example I I'm using versus call versus like text or chat or whatever, right? I think, we're a little bit older. I wouldn't say we're old, but for us, sometimes it's easier to call. Like I would just rather pick up the phone and call.
I'm a call guy.
But then there's other people, maybe a little bit younger generation, what they're used to is chat, so they can text it or they can chat with the chat, and it's become the easier path because they don't have to talk to somebody that maybe they have a language barrier with. They don't have to go through the phone tree, blah, blah, blah. So we've enabled them to take that personal touch out of the customer service. And even when you do get a person, most of the time it's like, go here, go here, go here. You know what really irritates me? When I'm working with somebody and I've spent like 10 minutes explaining the issue to them, and they're like, oh, okay, we need to get you over to this department so they can help you. I'll call over there, I'll get somebody, I'll tell them what's going on, and then, I'll get you to them. Then you get to that person and like, hey, how can I help you? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, didn't that asshole last tell you? Didn't he tell you? He said he was going to
Yeah.
tell you. I
Yeah.
have to repeat it again. Amazon does that, just FYI.
You know who else
Over
does
and
that?
over.
Victor just took a ticket yesterday with QuickBooks. I don't know what's going on with QuickBooks, but dude, the downtime for those guys. They keep doing these updates and they keep breaking all of these webhooks.
QuickBooks Online?
QuickBooks Online.
Really?
Well, and QuickBooks Desktop.
That exists, huh?
No. Well, the
still
support
use
is terrible. I mean, Victor was telling us yesterday that they called in. He spent 10 minutes trying to figure out what was going on. And basically the conversation was, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And then hung up.
Wow.
Right? And the thing about it is, you think QuickBooks gives a shit? They
No.
own that market. They are
No.
terrible. They could be so much better. But I think there's a lot of, I don't like QuickBooks.
That's the
They got
key.
me. They got beat by the nanas.
Yeah,
and I
that's-
hate that.
Yes, that's
I
the
hate
key.
that.
They get people, they get the market, like you mentioned, then they don't have to care because you don't have any other options. That's why competition is so great.
Yeah,
Right?
and
it forces people to be good.
well, and I think that there's a lot of liquidity in the market right now, and a lot of people are doing what? M&A is huge,
Yeah.
right? And when you start buying up your competition, the customer does not benefit.
Yeah, there's too much of that going on.
There is a lot of that stuff going on. So yeah, customer service. We could go down a list. A CenturyLink, right? CenturyLink is how do those monkeys screw up being the single point provider for internet? And
Because they don't have any competition. I used to work, so I worked for CenturyLink. It was before it was
Before
CenturyLink.
HP?
It was
Oh,
when I was-
Quest?
Yeah, it was when I was in
Yeah.
college and I was working at Quest, and that's what I was doing.
Or
Customer
on sales
service.
side?
Man, it's a racket. It's a racket in there.
Yeah.
They want you to do good, but they don't incent you the right way. They, there's no competition for them. They own it. They don't care,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're incumbent. They're tied to the PUC. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like these companies. You think companies, get too big? Is there a point in time where a company just,
Yeah.
hits a threshold where they're just like, it's all about shareholder. Now it's all about dividends, and
Yeah, and I don't even know that I have such a problem with that because that's what a company, that's the intention, right? You don't go.
But I think
into
it's how they
business-
build the wealth.
It's how they build the wealth, but I also think it's about how they built their processes from the ground up and what their focus is. Because you go into business to make money, right? These big companies are no different. They go into business to make money. But if their only focus is that versus taking care of their customer, then it's a problem. So yes, I think they can get too big because the focus goes in a different place. But I think big companies can still focus on their customers, and that's their priority.
Yeah, and that definitely comes top down. And I think we could go into leadership. Not that we're going to, right? But look at how terrible leadership is, around here. I was at my son's back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. So first of all, I've always said, listen, if Google was around when I was in college, it would have been a whole different experience.
Absolutely different
Right.
ball game.
But now I was listening to the grading policies for sixth grade, and obviously that's where he's at, and at least 3 of the teachers, apparently there's some grading system, okay, whatever, but they are allowed to turn in papers, homework, whatever, up to the last week of the semester. Where was that? How is that even possible? And the thing for me, I'm sitting there saying, okay, so what are we teaching these guys?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is, okay, is that relatable and translatable and in alignment with what we want from a workforce?
No.
I mean,
not what we expect.
Well, how is that? Well, I'm not going to do a good job now, or I'm going to put it off, and then I'm really going to procrastinate till all the way at the end of the semester, and then get it done. I mean, it's just.
It doesn't teach them anything. Yeah, no, it's you know who I really blame for that is parents.
Yeah.
I think there's been like a major parenting issue, right? Because they're not holding those kids to their standard. It's not the teacher's job to parent the kids, right? And so many parents do that. And I think there's so many parents that don't parent their kids, don't help their kids set standards, don't hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And then they go to school and the teacher's like, well, how can I do that? You know? And it just creates problems. Kids not used to that. They're not getting that from their parent. They're definitely not going to listen to their teacher when it comes to that, right?
Yeah. You know, the other interesting thing that I noticed were 3 of his teachers were first-year teachers.
First-year teachers.
Yeah. And coming out of some different industries, and I've heard that we have a shortage on teachers. And I think it goes to that point too, right? I mean, we're sending our kids, I mean, to be babysat.
Yeah.
Right? And not allowing, and I think this comes down from leadership, the fact that not allowing the teachers to do what they need to do to teach.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've completely hogtied our teachers.
Well, I'm sure they deal with behavioral issues more than anything else. And that, again, I think that goes back to parenting, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're not babysitters.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with our kids, and maybe you have this experience too, where they can be like little shits, like I was talking about this morning. Like I could have just knocked both their heads together. I'm like, we're just going to school. I mean, we've only been up for 45 minutes and we're at each other's throats.
Yeah.
How does this happen? And, but when they go to school, like they're good humans.
Yeah.
Right, so they're good humans there. I would much rather, and then they're pushing the envelope, right, figuring out where the boundaries are, in the household, because it's I wouldn't say it's a constant battle, but I mean,
it's just that's a good thing though. That when they're not in your care, that they're good humans, they're good kids, they get good grades. That means you've been.
Are you talking
parent.
about my kid, right? I mean, how many times have you said that? Are you sure? In parent-teacher conferences, I'm like. Hold on. You got the right file folder there?
I look at that and sure, that day to day is hard. I have 4 kids, so there's those problems too. But they're more comfortable with each other. That they can get some of that out, and that's good. I'd rather have it get out at home than out in the public.
Yeah.
I would be mortified. Sometimes we'll have people come over to our house and their kid will jump on our coffee table. I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? If my kid jumped on somebody else's coffee table, I would be embarrassed as hell.
Yeah.
But at my house, I just tell them to get their ass off of it and, move on or stop doing that, whatever. Yeah. They're just more comfortable.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, interesting. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
How long have we been talking about doing this?
Probably been a couple years.
Yeah. And I told you because there's a lot of things I bounce off you. I appreciate that. One, just the logo redesign for Adams Technology Group.
Yeah, I'm glad you made the right decision. It looks good,
dude. It was kind of intense because I didn't send that out to very many customers, but I sent it obviously out to the team, sent it out to kind of the family and whatnot. So the rebrand. Looks really good. But I think that's just for me kind of the relationship that we've built because I trust your input. I love your input, right?
I'm always happy to share it. I appreciate that you come to me with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect it at all, but I'm happy to share in that with you guys.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, I just think that we would not be here had we not pulled the Zenify account. That's the truth, right? And you could go talk to those guys. We're going to have lunch next door, and all of them know who Zenify is.
Yeah.
Right. All of them know who Jesse is, and probably a lot of them have pretty good relationships with a lot of your staff.
Yeah.
And that is intentional for us.
It's a good match. It's a partnership.
It is.
Has to be. It's not. I'm sure a lot of our people at our office, look at, it's our IT vendor or whatever, but I don't look at you guys like that. It's a partnership, and I look at you guys as an extension. It took me a long time to get there, though.
Oh, yeah.
Not because of anything you guys were doing, just me letting that go a little bit.
Well, I mean, and we knew that, right? Yeah. And there was
hard.
like,
I'm sorry,
we gotta get Jesse fucking let go of the thing and just let's do our thing. Well, you heard us in here, right? We've got this thing going on with the customer right now, where we're like ready to go, and the customer is, we're waiting on the customer. More often than not, the tickets that we have open are customers. We're waiting for customers, not customers waiting for us.
You are really good about not pushing your customers, though, and letting them come along.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good.
Well, and I just, had this conversation with, so we're onboarding this customer in Alaska. And, onboarding is as hard as it's going to be based on the outgoing, vendor.
Yeah.
Right. The losing, carrier. And I said, guys, it is what it is. Right. So what we need to do is we'll just schedule a Teams call next week with the CEO, and we'll bring her up to speed on each of the locations, give her the information, and then let her make a decision about how she wants to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in the fact of we don't make those decisions. We don't make decisions for you.
No,
right?
But you give me options, which
that's
is
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And okay, here's option A, here's option B, pros, cons, and then you get to assess the risk, the cost, all that other stuff. And then you tell us what to do, and then we support the shit out of that.
Yep.
Right? And then we give you feedback, and, kind of way we go too. So, listen, we appreciate Zenify. The story, I think, is really awesome. And the thing that I wanted to start doing the podcast, right, and I've shared this with you, is I just think that these stories are hard to tell in marketing.
They are.
On a website.
Yeah.
Case study and whatnot. And so this is kind of like my audio, video case study about, let's just, have conversations with these, and you guys are one of our larger customers. We're going to have conversations with, some of our smaller guys, but we treat them with the same methodology.
Yeah, man, I think we could do like multiple episodes.
Oh, we could.
Specific use cases and stuff like that too.
Well, the other thing is we'll have you back because I want to talk about DocE.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to tell anyone about what DocE is.
That's okay. We can use it as a teaser.
Yeah, but that's fantastic, and I appreciate providing some input on that thing because I think that's kind of a fun little side hustle.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So
cool.
You gotta have time to put into it, but
okay. Well, let's go eat. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Nope. Cool.